What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Smoking Tire Podcast. This episode of the podcast is brought to you by the Brio Beardscape. The Brio Beardscape rules. I first got introduced to the Brio Beardscape through an ad I did for the video show, but I kept using it after the ad, and man, did I just fall in love with this thing. And I've now been using it for over a year on its first battery charge. The Beardscape is a portable, rechargeable buzzer with adjustable blades and several different attachments. It's got ceramic blades instead of steel, so they actually are even more lubricated and require less maintenance than your normal steel-on-steel clippers. The Beardscape, it's dope. It's a really good system. The adjustable blade on the Beardscape allows for perfect stubble or body hair trimming options, and the guards are great for haircuts or long beards with increments between 1 millimeter and 18 millimeter. There's a guard for whatever length you're looking for. Brio is a great company with good customer service, and like I said before, the battery on this thing lasts a really long time. So use code SMOKING at checkout at brio4life.com. That's Brio, the number 4, the word life.com. Code SMOKING at checkout will get you the best price online for the Brio Beardscape. Also this week, in our BlipShift store, BlipShift is our exclusive t-shirt partner now. We've got 2 new shirts. Last week, we talked about the Million Mile Lexus finally hitting 1 million. This week, we've got a shirt to commemorate that with the graphic being the 9-digit, or the 6 nines, 99999, where the odometer will be for all time, as Andrew Collins at Jalopnik called it, a permanent achievement badge. We've got that one, and then we've also got the Imperfect Cars Make Perfect Stories, which I love, showing my Lamborghini broken down on a flatbed truck. So they're both available from today through March 6th only, and then they're going to be gone. Today through March 6th, 2019 only, and that's at blipshift.com/TST, blipshift.com/TST, or go to thesmokingtire.com and just click store. Okay, on this episode of the podcast, we've got former advertising executive and event organizer Peter Volney. Peter is a vintage Ferrari enthusiast and collector who organizes not only the Scottsdale Cars and Coffee, but also the Concours in the Hills, their annual Concours event. Interesting dude, and if you're in Arizona, 2 events that are not to be missed. I hear the draws are massive. It's Peter Volney on the Smoking Tire Podcast. Smoking Tire Podcast, back in the studio. Hello, folks. I've been, you may not know it because the content is always flowing, but I have been on the road for 20 days. And first day back in the studio. So I actually sat down and sort of forgot how to use the gear. So I apologize. I hope I'm not a little slow on the production today, but welcome to the studio, Mr. Peter Volney. Hello, sir.
Hi, how are you, Matt?
Good to have you.
Nice to be here.
In from Arizona.
Yeah, we left the rain and the snow in Scottsdale, and here we are.
And it's a good time to get out of Dodge.
It was a good time to get out.
It was. And I was there last week driving McLarens, and I drove the 720S Spider. Yep, that was me. I drove the 720S Spider in hail, which do you get much hail in Phoenix?
No, and we don't get much rain, which is frankly one of the reasons that I moved there. If you're going to have high-performance cars, find the place with the least rain. But boy, we this global warming hasn't hit Scottsdale yet.
Well, that's all that's going to be left. It's going to be the cockroaches in Arizona. So we met at Eli's place, Otto, out in Scottsdale, and you were introduced to me because you run the Concours in the Hills, which is a Scottsdale annual now at this.
It is an annual show. We just 2 weeks ago had our 6th annual show. Yeah.
And is this most recent photos from your most recent show? It looks pretty nice.
Yeah, it is.
Well, you can give me this AMG 560 any day.
Well, we had a lot of other things there that I'm sure you would have loved as well. We had a lot of race cars this year.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What, all right, so you do this, Concours in the Hills, which is, by all accounts,
Lovely. And that's sort of how I was introduced to you. But you also run the Cars and Coffee in Scottsdale as well, right?
I'm one of 5 who run it. Yeah, there's a group of 5 of us who own the show. I don't know why we own it because we don't make any money out of it. It's fun.
You can deduct it on your taxes, maybe? Is that a good reason?
Well, there's a little bit of that, but not very much.
Whoever's got this white Countach is all about town.
Yeah.
Looks like a good event. Why? You said... The first thing you're gonna get so mad at me. The first thing I wanted to ask you is like, I've been to Arizona many times now, Phoenix a bunch of times. Other than the fact that it doesn't rain, because there's a lot of places it doesn't really rain. What is it about Arizona that draws all these sports car people? The roads are so straight.
Well, no, they're not. We've got a lot of very, very twisty roads. We do a ton of drives.
Where are the very twisty roads?
Oh, they're out of Scottsdale. Scottsdale itself is obviously pretty straight, but as soon as you get out of town, there are some magnificent ones. In fact, in November, we are hosting the Ferrari Club of America National Meet in Scottsdale, and we've been out testing drives, and we've got some amazing drives with spectacular scenery, beautiful.
Do you go like over here, like Tortilla Flat, this road?
Yeah, that's a great road.
What road is that?
I think that's 88, isn't it?
88, yeah.
That's
a
fabulous road, but
up
there's
by
lots
this,
of others.
River and Reservoir.
Yeah. There's another great road, Highway 87, which goes up to Payson. It's excellent. It's up and down hills, winding.
Is that up this way here?
Yeah, it heads
to
north.
How do you pronounce that? Mazatlal Peak? Mazatlal Peak?
I'm Australian. I can't pronounce any of these things.
All right. Yeah, I guess once you go outside of town, it does look like
there's a ton of great roads.
Possibly on par with our roads outside of town. These look pretty twisty over here.
Yeah, there's a lot of twisty stuff. And,
how's the enforcement?
Well, that's interesting because if you're not being really stupid, they're actually really nice. The sheriffs and the police officers are really very, very nice. They're understanding. If you do something stupid, then they're going to come down on you, and you deserve that. But no, I really haven't had any problems.
All right. So when did you go to Scottsdale? When did you become part of this scene?
We moved to Scottsdale. My wife and I moved to Scottsdale in 2004. And we're now legal citizens.
Welcome.
Yeah.
Welcome. I mean, you don't have to deal with Sheriff Joe anymore over there.
No, we don't.
Thank God. Something tells me you're not the person he was looking for, though.
No, I don't think so.
Coming from Australia and going to Arizona, you were by way of Canada as well, right?
I have now lived in 7 countries. The United States, I hope, is the last because it's my favorite.
You really circled the drain on this one.
Yeah.
Start beginning in Australia. What are the 7?
England, Canada, France, Switzerland.
Oh, yeah. You've really gotten some good driving countries as well.
I have. None of the countries would let me stay, but hopefully America will.
Switzerland's if you're into cars.
Fabulous roads.
Yeah.
I mean, some of those mountain passes are just dynamite.
It's the best. What was your Switzerland car?
I've had a couple of different cars in Switzerland, but
the perfect mountain pass vehicle.
Many years ago, I had a Maserati Indy. It was a lot of fun.
Oh,
yeah.
Those are not common.
No.
Wait, I want to get a picture of Maserati Indy. Very pretty cars. I need to get a good. Oh, there we go. Well, give me a color.
Silver.
Silver.
Yeah, there it is.
Silver?
Yeah, there it is.
There it is.
Yeah.
Very pretty. It's got a very GT
is
profile, almost Aston DB6-ish maybe from this angle a little bit.
Yeah.
The Italian version of that?
Well, the Italian designs are undoubtedly the best in the world, whether it's Pininfarina or Bottoni, Scaglietti. They're all just beautiful.
I was just in Canada, outside of Vancouver last week, on my way to Whistler. And I went into a Wendy's, which I'm ashamed to say I went into a Wendy's, but I was very thirsty. And they had one of those Coca-Cola machines that makes, infinite combos of soda, like the fully digital one.
Oh, really?
What? You never seen these things?
No.
Oh, it's got like a touch screen. And I promise I'm going somewhere with this. It's got a touch screen and you can get like cherry, diet, vanilla, Coke, like whatever you want. It just makes into one. No liquor. Okay. No. It's in like a fast food restaurant. Point is, it had a Pininfarina badge on
Really?
it. It was
Wow.
you think about those companies like they
Yeah.
all do design like
Yeah.
kind of more
Sure.
consumer goods.
Absolutely.
But this is for all intents and machines. It's like a soda machine.
Yeah.
like Pininfarina soda machine. It's pretty
Probably
sweet.
the quickest soda machine in the world.
Yeah. It will actually. It does combine those syrups really, really fast. What is this? Like a 4.9 or something in this Maserati?
I think
Indy?
it was a 4.9 or a 4.7.
Yeah.
It's a
But
while
it
ago.
sounded nice.
Yeah, yeah.
Really nice.
I have a Maserati Gran Turismo as my daily driver now. and
Really?
It's the best sounding car I've got.
Is it one of those crazy special edition ones with the super loud exhaust, like the MC? Or
It's the SMC, yeah.
yeah. So how has that been as an ownership experience?
That car has just been an absolute delight. I bought it
Really?
in 2010, so it's now 9 years old. Other than oil changes, nothing has ever gone wrong with it. I'm touching wood
Really?
if you can hear that.
Do you? I mean, that's like that's outside. Let's call it outside the curve of what I have typically heard about. Those cars.
Well, I'm not exactly slow in the thing, but no, it's just a sweetheart of a car.
They are very pretty.
Yeah.
They look a lot better with the hard roof though. You got to get the hard
and,
roof.
and I have a hard top.
Yeah, I don't. Do they make the MC in a soft top?
I don't know if they make it as a
they do.
convertible, but
I don't think they do.
Yeah.
But it's Jason Castriota design. Jason designed that red car on the poster.
Oh,
behind
did
you
he?
on the wall,
Okay, yeah.
Good dude. Greenwich, Connecticut. Represent. Shout out to Jason, who I saw on an airplane last week. And we got to get him on the show now that I mention it. So, Switzerland, France, Canada, Australia, somewhere, and America. Where did I miss?
Czechoslovakia.
Czechoslovakia? What's happening over there?
It's a long story.
Well, we got time, brother. And you're in the advertising business, and from what I read, a lot of automotive advertising, actually.
Yeah, we kind of. I had a business in Canada, and we kind of dominated the automotive scene there.
Any highlights?
Of clients or of actual campaigns?
Either. Iconic campaigns.
I guess the one that probably was the most successful is when Firestone had their problems with the Explorers.
Their problems.
Yeah. We were hired to turn that around and came up with a strategy, and in the space of a year it was turned around. So that worked very well.
Take us back to, what was it, 95, 96?
Yeah, it was the late 90s.
Second gen
Yeah.
Explorers. So they came OEM from the factory with these Firestone tires.
500s, yeah.
Yeah, and they would explode, the tires, pretty much, or delaminate. Or what would happen specifically with those tires?
I'm sworn to secrecy.
Oh, come
on this.
Oh, all right. So can we not discuss
There's
this?
a very strong family relationship between the Ford family and the Firestone family. Some of them are married to each other and that. So a deal was worked out between the two companies, and that's about all I can say.
Oh no. Okay, so let's do it this way. Hypothetically, I have a car company. And I have somehow really messed up and had a major safety related issue. Turns out the seats come unbolted from the floor in a crash, and you sail out the window. I've had this problem, and several people have been injured or killed, and it turns out, oh man, this is really a big long-term problem. I come to you and I go, Peter, help me. I've got a big mess up here. Safety's an issue. I don't know how many cars are going to be affected. What do I do?
Matt, first of all, you're writing me a very big check.
Yeah, but no, this is, real damage control situation.
It's really a question, marketing, and our specialty was launching new companies and fixing companies that had a broken problem or image or whatever. It's really a question of getting out there and doing research on the market, research on your competitors and that, and finding out, coming up with the strategy that you think is going to work. Marketing is not a science; it's an art. So there are no guarantees. You try things. If they stick to the wall, you keep doing them. If they don't stick, you try something else.
Yeah. So, what? I'm trying to think. What if I have a car company X that committed a major safety snafu? What do we focus on? Like other good things I've done.
Yeah, other good,
Like,
absolutely.
Other good, is that pretty much
other
it?
good things that you've done, and what you're doing to rectify the situation.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Building up a relationship with the customers, and in the case of Firestone, you've got to keep something else in mind, that for guys like you and me and your listeners, we absolutely care what tires we've got on.
Well, they're super, super important.
They're very, very important. I mean, you can have all the horsepower in the world. If you
Yeah.
can't get it through to the road, you're wasting your time.
Well, and it especially is important in the collector car world, because
Yeah.
people will buy low mile cars that
Yeah.
have 30-year-old tires on them. We were just at Radwood, which is this fun event that happens. It's a touring show now, but it's like 80s and 90s cars.
Yeah.
And a dude, I have no choice but to single this dude out because he was the only one at the show. But a guy showed up in a Vector.
Oh,
Remember
really?
one of
Yeah.
those things?
Yeah, of course.
It was
Yeah.
like just this giant horsepower,
Yeah.
silly thing, and it had 30-year-old tires on it, and you go, how are you not dead?
Yeah, I can relate to that because with the Cars and Coffee that we do once a month in Scottsdale, our theme in December was cars that do over 200 miles an hour. And the fellow I know has a Celine S7,
Oh yeah.
750 horsepower, and it's riding on 20-year-old tires. And,
Oh my God! Can't he get some new tires?
Unfortunately, he can't drive the car because he's too tall to fit in it.
Well, that's.
So he asked me to take it down there, and he sat in the passenger seat with his knees up at his chin.
Can you send him down here and we can do an hour on, and he can explain why he bought a car he can't fit in and doesn't drive?
He's a dealer, and he has a number of exotic cars. But-
Wait a minute. Talking about CJ.
No, it's not CJ. No.
I was going to say CJ.
C-
Our
CJ
friend CJ Wilson
yeah.
is a tall exotic car dealer in Arizona.
CJ was actually at Concourse in the Hills a couple of weeks ago. He brought his P1 over.
CJ Wilson rules. I love that guy.
Super guy. Very
he
nice
is.
guy.
Wait, I just saw the picture of his P1. It was here somewhere. He's got.
Real neat color.
It's called, I think, Hyper Blurple, I believe is the
it-
name of that
yeah,
color.
as you walk around, it changes color from purple to blue. It's really neat.
You see the iridescent sort of the Mystichrome kind of, as it was called in the 90s with Ford.
There it is.
You have to really have some kind of car to pull this off today.
Well, yeah.
Remember when you could buy a Mustang in this color from the factory in '96? That ruled.
I guess if you got one of the new GT500s in that color, it wouldn't be out of place, would
Oh,
it?
that would be
Yeah.
sweet. I bet CJ's going to be on that. He's probably already got one ordered. That dude rules. CJ, get down here. Let me drive your P1. Where did we get there? Oh, the tires on the Selena 7. Wait,
Yeah.
so you had to go in this thing. Yeah, how
Yeah,
was it?
we got it. We got it sideways a few times. It's
How
like,
was it?
the car's fabulous.
It's it's basically a race car.
It is basically a race car. It's good for top speed of, I think it's 248 miles an hour. I wouldn't want to do 248 in it.
Yeah. We had one. I used to actually work at an exotic car rental company, and we had one at the rental company that you could rent for like $2,000 a day.
Yeah.
It wasn't very popular. It wasn't very popular. It didn't work so good, but it was fast and it was loud.
Well, the problem with a lot of these high performance cars is that you've got to know how to drive them. For the 05, you've got on the wall there a picture of an
Oh, the Ford
06.
GT.
They've got no traction control. They've got no electronics on the manual gearbox. If you don't know how to drive that thing, you're going to kill yourself very quickly.
They were so hairy. They were always the hairiest. Like right when it first started raining, people would just crash them left and right. They were particularly nasty. I think the original like Eagle F1 tires that came on them weren't great either.
No, they weren't. I've actually.
Did you have one of these?
Yeah, I've got that color. In fact, red with white stripes. I've taken off the Eagles when I had about 1,000 miles on it, and put on Bridgestones.
Better?
Yeah, way better.
Yeah.
they're the Scuderia tires, the ones they put on the Enzo.
Oh yeah. You know what else? Here's a little trivia for you, which I bet you know. What else does the Ford GT share with the Enzo? Shares something else.
Is it the gearbox?
No, because the Enzo has an F1 gearbox, and this
okay.
is manual.
Yeah.
It shares the seat backs. They were manufactured by Sebelt.
Oh, really?
They were shared with the Enzo.
They're a great seat. I mean,
they're very comfortable.
They're comfortable, but there's no weight to them at all. They're just a shell.
Ford really figured that car out. I
did
should
a
have
great
bought
job.
one a long time ago, and they're totally like a buy and hold.
Yeah,
forever.
I'll never sell mine.
You drive yours a lot?
You can't go very far in it. I mean, I take it to the different shows and that we do. But, you go on a one-day rally, you can't go overnight in it because there's zero
no
trunk
trunk.
space.
Yeah.
I put a Kleenex in mine and had trouble closing the hood.
That's when you got to do the John Olson like roof rack thing, like the skier does. Although that with those
That's
doors,
going to look real good, isn't it?
it would look fantastic. With the doors, that may be a bit of a
Yeah, it
problem.
won't work.
Yeah. I like those the X1s that they did when that company Gennady cut the roof.
We had
off
an
those.
X1 at the show in Fountain Hills.
you?
It's Concourse in the Hills 2 weeks ago. Yeah,
They're really cool, actually, and they solved the parking next to curbs
Yeah.
problem, parking next to other cars problem.
well, that's one thing. When you go to a show in one of these and you tell the organizers, I need a spot and a half, they go, why? You open the door and then
Ford
they
GT,
understand.
and they go, oh, all right, yeah, I got you. So let's talk about organizing shows. So, what point did you decide to be show organizer?
I never actually decided.
Were you elected?
After we'd moved to Arizona and saw just how many cars were there, how many fantastic cars were there, and we were going up to Monterey every year to Car Week in Monterey, and I particularly liked Concorso Italiano. I thought they did a dynamite
It's a
job.
fun show, yeah.
And we had a lot of shows, but they're all in parking lots, including our own. And I just thought it'd be nice to do a show on grass. So I started this thing and never expected it to take off. We had, 2 weeks ago, we had 941 cars.
Hang on a second.
Uh-oh.
Did I just mess up? Hang on a minute. Oh, wait. Oh, no. All right. I'm sorry. Forgive me for a second. Go back to where you were. Continue your thought process. I minimized the window and had an utter panic attack because I thought I just discontinued our entire broadcast, which I didn't do.
Okay.
Forgive me. Continue.
We are still here.
We are still here, yes. Wait, go back to how many cars? Sorry.
We had 941 cars. We had 108 sponsors. The show is...
Wait, 108 sponsors?
Yeah, 108 sponsors. We just raised money for charity. In that one day, we're up to, I think it's about $157,000 for Phoenix Children's Hospital.
Wow, that's fantastic.
Our
Is there a donate link? Is there for it right now?
There is a donate
What is it right
link.
now? Is it
if you go onto Concourse in the Hills,
I will bring it up. We can get some. I'm sure we can get
there
some
we go.
donations.
Click on register.
Concourse in the Hills. It's just type it out. ConcourseInTheHills.com. Uh-oh.
.org. It's
Oh, no.
It's closed. Yeah.
It's closed?
It's closed. So it's closed now. For
Oh,
this
because
year.
the show is over?
Because the
Oh.
show's over.
Oh, well, that's what we get. I'm sorry, folks. That's what we get. We're going to have to find a way to donate next year.
You'll have to come next year. Yeah.
That's a beautiful. Look at that, though. That's a beautiful setting right there.
It's a fabulous setting, and
Yeah.
we did some really neat things because as you can see, it goes around a lake. It's on these beautiful rolling hills, gently rolling hills around a lake, the cars, as the show got bigger and bigger, the cars that were on the edge would complain that we don't want to be in the boondocks. So we put our thinking caps on, and we found that the Army have a genuine Vietnam-era Cobra gunship helicopter, very, very sinister-looking machine. And we got them to fly it in, and we called the Cobra Car Club and said, how'd you like to park around the Cobra attack helicopter? So we had 31 Cobras around this attack helicopter. And then this year we contacted the Marine Corps, who have the modern version of that. It's called the Viper. So naturally, we called the Viper Car Club. And we had a couple of dozen Vipers around this Viper attack helicopter, and it was really cool. You just went past the Porsche 917 there.
It did. It's like, can you believe I did? I went past the 917, but
yeah, we actually had 4 Gulf-colored cars there. We had the 917. A friend of mine, Harley Cluxton, who owns the Mirage Racing Team. Harley brought along 2 Gulf Mirages, a Gulf Mirage Ford and a Gulf Mirage Cosworth. Matt, as you know, they're the evolution of the original Ford GTs from the 1960s.
Yeah.
And Harley just took delivery of a 2019 Ford GT in Gulf colors. He got chassis number 2.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
They're lovely.
Yeah.
I got 7 hours in one. I used every bit of it. I think
yeah.
I did 250 miles. This was like a killer show.
Yeah, that's
Holy
Craig Jackson's car.
Chrome Bugatti. If Craig Jackson's car, isn't this a car he had to buy because it wasn't going to sell at Barrett? I think that might be a rumor. Don't hold me to that.
I don't know.
I like the Fly Yellow Ford GT in the back though. That's a great color.
Yeah, and the guy with the Fly Yellow Ford GT has a new. That's an 06.
Yeah.
He has a 2017 in matching colors.
Very rare color, actually.
Yeah.
I think that's the second rarest color.
Is
I think
it?
Quicksilver only
Yeah.
was the rarer color than that. Cool stuff. How do you? I have so many people that email me and want to start like car shows in their area. What's the best, other than say, find a parking lot and get a few folks over? If you really wanted to start a legit Concours, where do you start? Is it all about the venue?
Well, I think the venue is important, but it may not be the most important thing. The most important thing, obviously, is getting the people to come out.
Yeah.
That first year, I was hoping to get 100 cars. We wound up with 220. But, the trick is just go out to car shows now, meet people, develop a list, a database that you can contact them and let them know, hey, I'm going to do a car show in such and such a location on such and such a date, and will you come out?
I really like that this is included. This looks like a Cadillac. Is it a Seville limousine?
It's a Cadillac, yeah.
I think.
The Cadillac Car Club in Scottsdale are very enthusiastic. They bring out some beautiful classic, Brahms and thin cars from the 50s and 60s. And
Biarritzes and stuff like that.
They're beautiful.
I think it's late 70s and 80s Cadillacs are going to have their day. This looks like, I don't know, 82, 83 Seville, something like that maybe.
80s, yeah.
Some Cadillac enthusiast is yelling, "It's a 78, you idiot!" No. That's a very non-snobby entry.
Well,
it's not all about the high dollar stuff.
We all have different tastes, and there are some people who like that, and there are people who like Ferraris, and we all have a right to like what we want.
And there's apparently some people that like giant. Oh my God! I'm actually at a loss.
Hummer.
This is an H1 Hummer.
It's an H1
but
Hummer.
It's on like what 48s maybe.
That actually belongs to a colleague of mine who is one of the five of us who do this show. Cars and Coffee and Concourse in the Hills, and he has 3 or 4 off-road vehicles, but he bought that one, and it is something else.
I owned a Hummer, and just even a regular Hummer is like you. I suspect this gentleman has started a Cars and Coffee exclusively so he has somewhere to park this thing. This is like probably the biggest Hummer I think I've ever seen.
Yeah,
it's got to have a foot lift, maybe a 10-inch, 12-inch lift.
I don't know the details on those things. I can't get into it. He has to give me a leg up so I can get in.
Wait, how does he? Is there a ladder or something that comes down? I mean,
no, you just grab onto something and pull yourself up.
God. That's the most. This is the single most intense Hummer I have ever seen in my life.
See if you can find a picture of the back, because it's got a real
Lord.
cute decal on the back window.
I
don't see it there.
How does it not take up every photograph? It's so big. Good Lord. It's actually got like muscles literally painted on the side of it in case you weren't aware enough of what its mission was. Very cool stuff.
You passed a P4 there. Did you see that?
P4.
Yeah, P4 Ferrari.
Come looking.
Scroll down. Keep going.
Oh yeah, there it is. Look at that. Well, that's very lovely.
It's actually not a real one. This is a local company in Scottsdale that makes
builds these.
Yeah, builds these and other race cars and modifies things. I've been in that. It's
P4 is a Ferrari prototype race car from 1960.
3 to 5. I think they made them. They started as a P3 and then they went to the P4 with a 330 engine.
Among one of the prettiest cars ever made.
I think that's probably the most beautiful. For me, it's the most beautiful car ever made.
What's this company called in Scottsdale? It does this.
Italian Design.
Wow.
Yeah.
And what does one of these things go for?
I don't know.
If I had to guess, 400. How
I
spot
don't think
on
it's.
is it?
I don't know that it's that much, but this particular one has a V8. I think it's got an engine out of a 360 or a 355 in it.
I bet you it's fast.
But and
It can't weigh very much, right?
Well, it's very lightweight, tubular frame chassis, and just a magnificent looking car.
It's pretty cool, man. I like that. Oh, actually, I guess you can see the engine right here. Wait, maybe I can. Let me punch in. Maybe I can see. Maybe not. I thought I could. Well, maybe not. It's all gone wrong. Images are ruined.
Go back to your search engine and go to the 2019 show. You're on the 2018.
I'm on your website, brother.
Dude,
I wonder if it's like it's
2019.
not quite like a Persang where is that did I type 18 again?
Yeah,
Sorry.
you typed 18.
Don't focus on images.
You know
When
what?
you do your cars and coffee, have you had any issues with the authorities, any of that kind of stuff, or do you find
No.
people are very well behaved?
People are pretty well behaved. We haven't had any issues, and in fact, I had yesterday a meeting with the sheriff, 3 sheriffs actually, about next year's show and crowd control and that sort of thing. They love the show. They really,
do?
yeah. I invited them to bring down a SWAT vehicle and a bomb detection vehicle and a bomb detection robot and all of that. And
Actually, that's kind of
Yeah.
cool. I mean, not that they have to use those things, but that if they're going to have them, you might as well bring them to Cars and Coffee.
Click on that
Here,
one
This
there.
one?
Yeah.
6th annual?
Yeah, click on
All
that.
right. Gallery?
No.
Nope.
Yeah, go to. Is there a gallery there?
I don't know.
Somewhere.
No.
No. All right.
I don't know.
Then try
Abandoning ship. I'm abandoning ship on the galleries. Forget it. But people really are really well behaved. No Mustang crashes. Nothing.
No, we have more trouble at the monthly Cars and Coffee because there we get we do it once a month, first Saturday of every month.
That's what I meant at the Cars and
Yeah.
Coffee.
We have probably 100 kids usually, when I say kids, teenagers and in their 20s, and they'll be at the exit where the traffic lights are with their iPhones and cameras and that, urging you to to drop a wheelie or whatever. And we get a lot of people who do, they hate me because when I leave, I, come out at idle. But, we try to get people not to do that. I mean, there's a time and place for this. And down here in this area, you lost the Cars and Coffee at Irvine because of people playing up, as I understand it. So
Well, what happens is it's not necessarily that people are doing bad stuff. What it really comes down to is that it inevitably becomes cool, it gets shared on Instagram, whatever, and then it kind of overgrows whatever the lot is, it overgrows it. People start parking in the areas surrounding it, typically in the neighborhoods in front of homes, and it's not that people are revving or really even. I actually think where I like to go, my favorite one was up in Malibu and Trancas that lasted only like maybe 5 or 6 months, but people were pretty respectful, but there were just like cars everywhere, and it's not that big, and so that inevitably it gets overgrown, and because it's on a private lot, the owners just get annoyed and it gets shut down.
we're in a very large parking lot that'll hold, I think, about 1,200 cars.
That's a lot.
And it's it's an outdoor mall, and it's owned by Bob Parsons of GoDaddy fame.
Uh-huh.
And the Yam property people are just a sheer delight to deal with.
Well,
They're happy
that's
to
very
have
lucky.
us, and we love them. We hope they love us.
Yeah. So what's in it for next year? Other than your Viper helicopter, which is a good plan. I like
Well,
that.
we're hoping to get more helicopters because they're a huge attraction. They get a hell of a lot of people out, so it's always a good thing. We're working with the National Guard now to try and get an Apache and a Black Hawk helicopter as
Yeah.
well. And we have some private. We had 5 helicopters this year, actually. We had 3 private ones as well. So and just more
Just
cars.
a couple local guys just coming in to check it out.
Yeah.
Hey, look.
Well,
man,
car guys, one of their helicopters, the guy has a GT3 RS. The other helicopter, he has a Ferrari. So they're car guys, but they happen to have helicopters, and we convince them, bring your helicopter down as well.
Do you find that in Scottsdale the market leans more toward the modern cars because it's just so hot in the summer you need air conditioning?
No, we've got a huge number of classics, muscle cars from the 50s. We've got a ton of hot rods and that. It's a very, very diverse collection that's down there. It's huge. I honestly think, and I've been around quite a bit in the United States, and I think we may not have the largest, but I think we've got the best collection of cars. And we've had people come down from major companies who are selling to the automotive industry, and they tell us that it's the best cars and coffee they've ever seen.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Do you get to participate in any of the bigger, longer distance drives?
I've done some. Yeah, I've done the Copper
Like
State.
the Copper State? I was thinking about trying to do that one. What's that one like?
It's great. It's incredibly well organized. I did that in a Mangusta. It was a tremendous amount of...
Mangusta?
Yeah.
I've heard that those are unique in their handling characteristics and how they drive. I've never been in one.
No, they're a neat car. The big problem with them is you've got that windshield over your head, so if it's a sunny day, you bake in there. And then I've done the
one of the prettiest cars. I mean,
the
it's
beautiful
just,
car. And that clamshell engine compartment is really cool too.
Oh, let me get a better picture that shows. Here we go.
There it is.
There's a lot of glass on that. It's very, very
hell
pretty.
of a lot of glass.
Look at that.
Yeah, great looking car. Dave Tomaso did a beautiful design on that.
How do they drive?
They drive very nicely. I mean, you got a Ford V8 in the back there, and easy to service. Parts are always available.
I have driven a Pantera. Would it be a similar experience?
Yeah,
or?
similar to the Pantera, I guess. Yeah.
A well-sorted Pantera is a very nice thing, actually. They drive really good.
They do drive nicely, yeah.
They haven't had their moment yet.
Well,
maybe they never will.
Well, no, I think they will. They're coming up. They're worth a few bucks now.
I think there was one at Gooding last year that was like, it had 6 miles on it or something, and it went for $400,000.
Did it really?
I think that's the most I've ever heard of one going for, and it was a later one too, and it was very, very, very minty fresh. So wait, so the Copper State though is so where did you go where was it when you did it?
Well, we left from Scottsdale, obviously, and we went north. We actually went into the southern part of Nevada. We went across to the Grand Canyon, came down through Sedona. Had some really neat cars on it. We had a real Ford GT Mark I.
Wow.
We had a real 427 Cobra. It's an incredibly well-organized event. The other one that I did is called the Peak to Peak Rally.
Which one is that? What's that one
and
about?
That's in Colorado. We wound up doing 1,400 miles in all. I took the Daytona on that one.
Ferrari Daytona, yeah. How's that?
Oh, I love it.
What's it like to drive long distance in the Peak to Peak?
It's wonderful. It's also incredibly well organized. You should interview Harry Matthews, who started that. Harry is is just one of the nicest people you've ever met in your life. Has a hell of a car collection, including a Mark 8 McLaren.
One of those old McLarens?
McLaren Can-Am car.
Yeah.
He's
Street driven?
No, it's just a pure race car. Harry is one of the nicest guys you've ever met, and a gentleman, and hell of a collection of cars.
This Peak to Peak rally? Where does it go?
It starts in Golden, Colorado, where Harry lives, and wends its way each year as a different route. I've only done it once, and different places in Colorado. Fabulous mountain roads.
Colorado is one of my favorite states to drive in.
Very beautiful. Very, very beautiful.
Looks fun.
Yeah.
Do you find I mean, this is going to sound kind of dumb because if you're going to be into cars, obviously you want to drive them. But when you have a very, very valuable car like a Daytona or an original GT40 or something like that, from a value perspective, does a participation in an event like that outweigh the putting of miles on the vehicle when it comes to value?
There are a lot of people who buy expensive cars, classic cars, and stick them in a garage. And
there's people who buy cheap cars and do that.
Yeah.
I just saw a 6,000-mile Fiero on Bring a Trailer today.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, someone bought a car that was $15,000 in 1989, sat on it for 20 years, only to sell it for 13.
It's cars are designed to be driven, and especially these. They like to run. They don't want to sit in the garage collecting dust. But there are some people who just want to look at it. I mean, I love looking at my cars. I regard them as a piece of art. But I drive them.
How's the maintenance on a driven Ferrari Daytona?
It's fine. It's like anything else. You have to change the oil regularly, and some if things go wrong, parts are obviously for a 1972 car are hard to find, but sometimes they have to be made, and they're expensive to find and to make. But,
Way of
it's
the
worth
world.
it.
Pay the cost to be the boss, as it were.
Yeah. You bust your ass working, and am I allowed to say ass?
Yes, you can. You feel free.
Because I just did say
you can
ass.
say fuck. You can say anything you want.
We work very hard, and to be able to buy these toys. Well, part of the real pleasure is driving them.
Yeah. Have you ever had a car where you bought it, held it for a while, went on a lot of adventures, and then it turns out it became a classic, and you were able to turn a max profit? Or conversely, have you ever lost all the money on one?
Well, back in Australia, I had a number of neat cars, and you race them, and after a year they're not competitive, and you sell them, and if you get your money back, you think you're really smart, and then you find out 40 years later that they're now worth $1 million.
Yeah.
But you needed to sell them to buy the next one.
Yeah.
So no. The only one I've got that's gone up in value is the Ford, which is probably worth, I don't know, double what I paid for it or close to that. But I didn't buy it as an investment. I bought it as something to drive and to have fun with. Nothing like a manual gearbox and no traction control.
Yeah, and as it turns out, those cars are pretty reliable, and you can drive them, and they work pretty good.
Yep.
They're nice to drive. Have you had a go in the new one yet?
I haven't driven one, but I've been in my friends, and it's a
very
hell of a
different.
car. Yeah,
it's crazy,
different.
but it's not the same thing at all. It's much more of like, I get a homologation race car. It's not. It's not a road car like.
Well, as soon as you get a carbon fiber tub, you just hear all the every speck of sand hits it, and you hear it.
Well, McLaren manages to somehow make it. Yeah, they somehow managed to make it refined. I was just in the desert driving the McLaren 600 LT. And I did 720S as well, although I'm not really allowed to talk about it for another 5 days because of embargoes. But the McLarens use the carbon tub, and what's nice about that is when you take the roof off to make a Spider, because it's not a structural element, you don't lose the rigidity and you still have a lovely driving car.
Well, if anybody can do that, it's McLaren.
Yeah, right. They're every car they gets incrementally closer to perfect, and. I'm trying to write the review for Road and Track about the 600 LT, and it's the best and worst thing about it is it is exactly what you expect it to be. It's the RS of that model range, and it's very loud and very fast and very sharp and very fun, and they've lightened it a bit, and it's more carbon fiber and more aero stuff, and
the long tail.
Yeehaw. Yeah, the long tail thing kind of bugs me because it's like 2 inches. It's not really. They should make it like a foot longer, like really long tail it. I guess that.
Gee, some people have told me that 2 inches can make a hell of a difference.
Look at you. You have an excellent point, sir. At this point. Although for me it's a little more diehard 720 because a 600 LT is a very great sharp sports car. To me, a 720 is like magic.
They're beautiful cars.
It's not like
other
cars. You know what I mean? Get yourself in the super chat right now if you want to talk to us. We got a few questions here. We're gonna get through them. But if I just finished my million-mile Lexus project, so Peter, get this: I bought a Lexus with 900,000 miles on it.
Whoa,
900K. And
what model?
It's an LS 400.
400, yeah.
Here it is. Here's the very moment that we crossed the million-mile mark, and check it out. The odometer sticks at all 9s.
Oh wow!
It's like an achievement badge forever. It's a digital. It doesn't roll over.
Have you told Lexus that you've done this or you got this? Yeah.
I tried very hard to tell them for quite some time that it was happening. I didn't try very hard. I tried a little bit. They didn't really care, but they did give me a congratulatory post on their Instagram yesterday, which was nice of them.
Wow.
I mean, of course, I was, getting a car to 1,000,000 miles at my expense, not theirs.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so we finished that project up and donated the car to a friend of mine who's going to be doing some more stuff with it. But car questions from folks. GG says, would you rather a R56 John Cooper Works, that's the very fast Mini, or a Ford Fiesta ST, both modified? Peter, any experience? Want to weigh in?
I'd take the Fiesta because I'm more of a Ford guy.
Have you had it go in a Fiesta ST?
No, I haven't.
You should.
Yeah.
People who like really expensive sports cars also like the Ford Fiesta.
I
ST.
drove about a month ago. I had an opportunity to drive the little M2 Comp.
Oh yeah,
Great car! What a little pocket rocket that is.
Yeah, that's beyond pocket rocket.
Yeah.
That's a fast car. That's like a legitimately fast car. The Fiesta ST, everyone who drives it loves it. I can't tell you how often I get letters from folks who say that they listened to this show and bought Fiesta STs. I don't blame them. I say Fiesta ST because it has the performance of that John Cooper Works Mini. It's a lot cheaper and it's a bit less annoying. Martin says, with pot legalization coming to New York, I'm curious what effect it has on the driving environment and car culture as it becomes more common. I mean,
That's Colorado.
yeah, I mean, look at Colorado. I mean, look, weed's been basically legal in California since 2006.
Oh, has it?
I mean, it's only been recreationally legal in the past year, but it was medicinally legal in California, and it doesn't really affect car culture once it becomes legal. I mean, it's not like you're doing bong hits and then hitting canyons. Typically, those activities are separated, and typically, if they're not separated, that's still illegal. So I don't think it in the states where it's where if you look at Washington or Colorado or California or Canada, where I just was in Vancouver, I think pot legalization only has positive impacts on all cultures. And I think it naturally separates itself from car culture. Gilad Goslan says, what happened? What happens after the odometer once it hits all nines? Because I put that picture on Instagram with all nines, and people thought that it meant something like it was going to do something else, but no. It's Toyota odometers, whether it's a Corolla or a Lexus, any of these digital odometers, they stick at nines. There is nothing that happens. In fact, to get to 1,000,000 miles, you wait till it turns all nines, and then you have to go to switch over to the trip odometer and then drive you gotta drive 1 extra mile. It's very silly. Yeah. Travisio, Porsche 992 question. Have you seen one in the flesh, Peter?
Yeah.
I haven't seen one in the flesh. I've only seen. Well, I saw a camoed prototype. That doesn't count. But otherwise, only pictures. Has my opinion on it changed? My opinion on it won't be fully formed until I drive one. What do you think of the back end of the Porsche 992, Peter?
Well, it's been a succession of, or an evolution of the design since, the 911s came out in the early 60s. I think it was 62 or 63. And, they're a beautiful looking car. We drove in from Scottsdale this morning, and we passed a 911 on the highway, and, they're just a wonderful looking car.
But what... That's a very pragmatic answer. I would say this Arsha here. I can say ass on my show. The way that they paint the body underneath this. It's not a diffuser, whatever you call this.
Yeah, because it's not a diffuser.
This middle exhaust surround vent thing that they're doing. I don't know. It looks like a lot of bustle. A lot of bustle.
It's a little Panamera-ish.
Bustle in the bum. You know what I mean? Like this big black thing that has the silver underneath it. And I think on some of them when it's fully blacked out under it. Is there one where it's fully...
I do like that they've gone to the wide rear fenders on all Porsches now. Did you know that?
Oh, that they're all the same width?
They're all going to be the same width.
Ups and downs for that one. See here? No. Yeah, is that blue under there? That's blue under there, right?
I can't tell.
When it's fully black, it's better, but I don't know. I think the ass is really big on it. I don't know. I'm sure what's going to happen is it will soften as I get used to it. You know what I mean? Like, I think, like anything, you changes. Like, remember when the Cayenne came out and everyone was like, ugh. And now
Everybody loves it.
yeah, now everyone loves it, and Panamera came out, ugh! And I mean now and so
And Taycan, the same thing. We'll see what
Taycan's gonna be
I think
cool.
it's going to be nice.
It's
yeah.
gonna be cool.
Yeah.
There's Teslas and stuff are popular in Scottsdale, right?
Yeah, they are very.
Is there a proper EV structure there, like superchargers and stuff, or does everyone have their own garage? It doesn't matter.
I have no idea because I don't have an electric car.
I was supposed to get a Tesla this week, but it got bumped a couple weeks. David, thank you for your donation. Who puts his donation towards driving the art. I like driving the art as well. I'm determined to drive my art every single week, even when I'm out of town, making it happen. Sean says, should I get a 991.2 Carrera T, which is a lovely vehicle, as a first Porsche versus a 991.1 C2S? So basically, should you get a Carrera S naturally aspirated or a Carrera with a turbocharger? Peter?
Well, turbos have come a hell of a long way since the original 930. I mean, if you've ever driven the 930, that's the ultimate in turbo lag.
Yeah, especially with a 4-speed, which really accentuated.
Yeah, it really did. Yeah, that car begged for a 5-speed, but
They got one at the end.
yeah, they did in the later versions. I don't know. I'm not a Porsche expert, so it's a question of what you like: naturally aspirated or turbocharged.
Yeah, here's what I actually had the chance to line a last of the naturally aspirated up next to the same car, but with the turbo motor, and the difference in acceleration was so comically ridiculous. You couldn't. I mean, for just that one. I mean, yeah, obviously a different engine's a big difference, but like. It felt like the NA car was dragging an anchor. And if you just drove the NA car in isolation, if that was the only car you drove and you just got in it and went for a drive, you'd go, well, this is lovely. It was great. And you wouldn't say, well, this needs something. But if you spend time driving that Carrera T, which is very light and has a really torquey motor and has the rear steer and has the limited slip diff, don't drive the NA one after because you won't you'll be addicted. That the shove of those turbo engines is quite addictive. Even if you love NA, you get in that Carrera T and you're going to go. If it's T versus GT3, that's a different story. But versus the
or a GT3 RS,
yeah, no, now you're really going for it. But anyway,
why don't you go for a GT2R? I think you'd enjoy that.
Yeah, it's only 3 times the price. Don't worry about it. Last question. Adrian says, have you been seeing the Haggerty Barn Find series? What do you think about seeing cars worth hundreds of thousands of dollars in dusty condition? It hurts my soul. What cool barn finds have you uncovered?
That's a dream for all of us.
Uncover a barn find?
I'd love to. You go to the auctions. I go to all the auctions in Scottsdale and that. And sometimes
There's always a couple.
Yeah. You see some of these barn finds, a Cobra 427 or a 300 SL gull wing and that. And you go, why can't I find that barn?
You got the sign on the windshield says original dirt, do not wash. I love when they say that sign. I can't say I found a barn find, but like I commissioned a person to, and they did. Like I got a DeLorean out of a storage unit that had been there that had been there for like basically 30 years, and it had 2,000 miles on it, and it was stuck in a storage unit in San Pedro. The guy, the owner, was like upside down on the loan or whatever he had, and he just stashed the car away and kind of like disappeared. And I was able to get the car, and it was highly original, but if you were going to drive it, it needed some restoration. And we restored it, and I started driving it, and I drove it a little bit, and
it's such a cool car.
It was a really neat car. I drove it to Pebble Beach in 2014 to the Concours week, and I was probably the only DeLorean driving around in Pebble Beach. And I was able to sell it at a small profit, which was lovely, to someone who is in Germany, in Bavaria, and they drive it around Bavaria now. Nice little car, kind of its own little niche. ultimately it didn't end up doing it for me. But yeah, this guy just parked it in a storage unit and it sat and collected dust. What was really cool was we, you know, a lot of all the body work and most of the interior and everything was we had to redo the engine because it had been sitting and the guy didn't drain
The Renault
fluid.
engine.
Yeah, the PRV motor, but he didn't prepare it for long-term storage.
Yeah.
So you got to replace a bunch of that kind of stuff. But the coolest thing was the glass, because the window glass, it was a 30-year-old car, but the glass was like brand new. It
Really?
was the clearest.
Yeah,
It
because he
was-
hadn't been on the road.
because
to
it
get
hadn't been on
chips.
the it was like clear, because even a barn find car typically it's not stashed away when it's brand new. It's usually like got some miles on it. So it was really cool that
You asked about Teslas earlier, and at Concourse in the Hills this year, the Tesla Car Club came in with about a dozen cars.
Yeah.
And they asked me, could we park with the DeLoreans, because we both have those gull wing doors.
the Model X's.
Yeah, the Model X's. So we put the DeLoreans and the Teslas together.
Bricklands, DeLoreans, 300 SLs, and Teslas over there, please. You discriminate by door. I don't like that. It's door discrimination. I've switched to the scissor doors. The scissor doors, yeah. Oh, I prefer the scissor doors.
What about the doors on the M1? Remember those?
The BMW. Oh, you mean
Yeah.
the Z1?
The Z1.
The Z1
where
where they go
folded
down.
underneath
Oh,
the, yeah. I mean,
man.
you
So
gotta
remember
wonder.
when you could buy a Z1 in Europe for like not a lot of money, and now
What are they worth now?
to get one in America it's got to be 75 or 80 grand. I think I saw one that wasn't even that nice sell for like 40. And if you want one from like EAG, you know, those lunatics that sell like the world's most expensive BMWs, I think they had one that was like 100 G's.
Really, yeah.
Really expensive. But they're super cool.
Yeah, they're
Among
cool
the
car.
coolest doors.
Well, yeah. I've never seen any other door
Z1
like that.
versus Kaiser Darren.
Yeah.
They go,
Yeah,
the Kaiser
yeah,
Darren
slid
door
in,
that goes
yeah.
into the front fender
Fenders, yeah.
is not exactly as strong. Not a good crash structure. But these things have finally started to have their moment too. These weren't really selling for a while because they are super bizarre looking. But I finally saw one go for big money, I think, this past year. Didn't one at Pebble Beach finally get real money?
Yeah, I think there was one at Scottsdale auctions too.
Yeah.
Maybe RM or Gooding had it. I can't remember.
It's really good if you happen to be a lady wearing a long skirt.
Yeah.
It's the most graceful vehicle you can get in and out
or
of.
a
right?
short skirt.
Or a short skirt. Yes, thank you. Very cool. What do you want to plug before you get out of here, Peter? Next year's event?
I
or
want to plug next year's event.
next
yeah.
year's event?
Yeah,
2019 or 2020?
February the 8th, 2020, Saturday, February the 8th. It's become the biggest car show of its type in Arizona. It's the only one on grass.
It's ConcourInTheHills.org. And so
Correct.
there's going to be some folks rolling their eyes at what you just said about grass, but in Arizona, grass is a big deal.
It
There
is a big
isn't a
deal,
lot
yeah.
of grass. to
And
go
this is a
around.
beautiful park. If you go on our website, you can see it. It's around the lake with the, I believe it's the highest fountain in North America. It's, when they've got it working at full capacity, it's, I think it's 660 feet. We don't, when the show's on, we run it at a lower height so that the cars don't get sprayed.
Do they use it? They don't use it as a helicopter wash on the way in. They just fly the helicopter right through it.
Yeah,
and
right.
Land it. All right, I like it. I think I'll have to make a plan now to come out for
Come on
for
out.
2020.
I'm sure you'll enjoy it.
And then is it the first weekend, second, third, or fourth of every month?
First Saturday of every month from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m., Scottsdale Cars and Coffee. It's actually called the Scottsdale Motorsports Gathering.
Because
but
Cars and Coffee is technically trademarked.
Technically, yeah.
The guy who owns the trademark emailed me
Yeah.
and wanted me to help him promote it.
Yeah.
And he literally acted, I don't remember his name, but he acted that because he owned the trademark, he acted as if he had actually invented the concept of a Cars and Coffee, and that he felt he had to explain to me what one was. It's very dumb.
Yeah, we actually,
It should be public domain.
it is public domain.
Cars and Coffee is
Yeah.
public domain?
The logo is not, but the name Cars and Coffee is in the public domain. You cannot. We looked into it.
Yeah.
And
That
it
makes
is-
this
yeah.
guy's email even funnier.
I mean, there's hundreds of them across
Yeah.
across the United States. It can't be copyrighted.
Yeah. Okay, that makes this guy's email even funnier. So, first Saturday?
First Saturday of every month, 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. and totally free.
Where is it specifically? Sorry.
It is in the Scottsdale 101 Shopping Center on the corner of Scottsdale Road and Mayo Boulevard. It is a 1,200 car lot. We get anywhere from a low of maybe 500 cars to a high of about 800 cars.
That's crazy.
Totally free to show your car. It's free for for spectators, free parking. Everything's free except the coffee.
That's awesome. You don't have to give away the coffee. Charge them for coffee. They can pay. I made that mistake once. Let them pay for the coffee.
They do pay for the coffee.
Peter Volney, thank you very much for joining us,
Thank
sir.
you, Matt.
Enjoy the rest of your time in L.A. in that
Thank you.
lovely red RS7 of yours. It's a good... If you have to drive from Scottsdale to Los Angeles, that is a fine...
My wife's car.
Is it? Well, your wife has excellent taste.
Yeah.
I topped one of those things out in Nevada at like 190 miles an hour.
Yeah.
It was spectacular.
Fabulous car. When you talk about
Spectacular.
turbos, the turbos on that make a hell of a difference.
Oh my God, what an unbelievable engine. Well, thank you for dropping by, sir.
Thank you,
I
Matt.
appreciate your time. See you guys next time. The Smoking Tire Podcast is powered by Shout Engine. Get your own damn podcast at shoutengine.com. It's easy. All you need is a microphone, a connection to the internet, and ideally something to say. Have a good afternoon, everybody.